Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Match Ball podcast. My name is Rohan Shirgopikar, and joining me on this podcast is my co host, Siddhant Sonawane. Hello, Sid, how is it going?
It's going great. It's going fantastic. I can't tell you how happy I am ever since we started working on this project. The enthusiastic, inquisitive Siddhant inside me is going mad. And that's it. How are you doing, bro?
I'm also doing very well, man. I'm very happy that this project is a way for us to escape from our other life that we're living, and I just hope that this project is so engrossing for us that we end up wanting an escape from this as well.
True that.
Right, so things are cooking in the ever so dynamic world of club football. The transfers are happening, players are moving countries, moving clubs, managers were sacked and replaced, and an awful lot has happened, is happening, and will definitely keep on happening. And that's why it's the ever so dynamic and happening world of club football. Now, amidst this wonderful chaos, this project is something that Sid and I have had in our mind for quite some time, and we're happy that it's finally taking some shape, probably sooner than later. Sid, would you like to tell what this is about and why we are starting it?
First of all, great choice of words, man. The word wonderful chaos is like it's inevitable, man. The chaos in football world is so inevitable and it's so engrossing for each football fan, whether it's the 90 minutes that we watch or the transfer drama that has happened over the past month and will again happen in January. The importance of Fabrizio that just boosts up the conversation so much. And about the match ball, this has been my to-do list, which I've told you previously, but this has been my to-do list to be a part of a podcast. And you know what happens in a podcast, you are experienced, right? You're experienced in making a podcast, but this is my first experience in being part of one, and we hope to give our best and we hope to provide the best content. So yeah, that's it. What do you have to say?
Yeah, so like you said, I mean, I don't think I can do a better job at summing it up. So it's also been a part of my to-do list for quite some time. Like people around me, people close to me already know that I have been wanting to do a podcast for a very long time. And since football is the sport which I follow the most, I wanted to do something where I can marry the two worlds of podcasting and football, where I can maybe get a chance to speak more about the wonderful game. And now I have been fortunate enough to previously be on a football podcast before, and a quick shout out to the lads at Football of Target who basically helped me in understanding what all goes into a podcast, what is a podcast, how the editing goes, and all the behind the scenes stuff that happens, which I never thought was actually a part of a podcast. So I'm very happy that I got a chance to work with them, to be with them, and there, and the experience which I got working with them, being with them, creating podcasts with them, somewhat sparked a fire within me that basically led us to this particular platform.
Yeah, true.
Now, I am a fan of Chelsea and Sid is a fan of Barcelona, and it's very evident from both of our socials, my Twitter and Instagram, Sid's Instagram, that we are very vocal about our opinions about our club on our socials.
Yeah, man, true. My social media is just about criticizing Barcelona and then again refraining my friends that अरे नहीं मैं बार्सिलोना का ही fan हूँ. And why do you think I am a part of this podcast? ये podcast ही इसलिए बना है that I criticize Barcelona.
Nice. So basically, along with this being a to-do list, it's also your basic personalized ranting platform where you just anything that happens in the Barcelona world, and this is where you went out. This is where you put all of your feelings up for display for the entire world to hear, so to speak.
Yeah, that is going to be my motto of this podcast. Hail Barcelona.
Very nice, very nice. I'm fortunate enough that my club has not given me that much of an opportunity to criticize them. I think the last time I was very disappointed in them was the Aston Villa game, which was the last game of the Premier League. And I think before that I was disappointed in the FA Cup final. But before that and after that, everything has been very happy. And I just hope that it stays that way, given the transfers which are happening in and out. Now, speaking about transfers, both clubs have had transfers in, both clubs have had transfers out. Some are bigger than others. Like Chelsea signed Romelu Lukaku, which is a very, very big transfer in. And Lionel Messi has left Barcelona, which is a big, probably the biggest transfer out that has happened. And this is something that you felt you got affected by more than anyone else.
Yeah, you just spoke of how you haven't had an opportunity since the past, like the last season, to criticize Chelsea, and I had the opportunity to criticize Barcelona yesterday. So that's the difference between the two clubs right now. Man, Messi leaving was hit me so hard now. It was the worst thing that could happen that day. मैं लिटरली सोने जा रहा था एंड आई वाज सो स्लीपी एंड देन the rumor started that Barcelona cannot sign Messi, and then the club made it official also, मतलब बहुत ही जल्दी official कर दिया. And when I saw, I was like, oh shit, damn, ये सच में हो रहा है. And then I couldn't sleep for another 2-3 hours or so. And उसके बाद I was only posting on Instagram कि यार ये सच में हो रहा है. And then it took a day or two to digest, but अब आदत डालनी पड़ेगी. This elitist mentality which I was born with कि यार मेसी संभाल लेगा, अब नहीं होने वाला. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Messi. गया Messi, अब क्या करेंगे? Now I am only confused between हमारा AC Milan होगा या Arsenal होगा. So I'm okay with AC Milan. ये Arsenal नहीं होना चाहिए.
Yeah, you would not want Barcelona's Arsenalification to happen very, very soon. Now, with Messi gone, there's a new king in town who goes by the name of Martin Braithwaite.
His name is not Braithwaite. His name is Goatwaite.
We don't need another level. We don't need another Thomas Muller conference meme, so to speak, of renaming Martin Braithwaite. Please, we've had enough of those in the Euros. We've had enough of them in the season before. We are done with them. We have to move on to a new meme that is inevitable. Right, so both clubs' respective domestic leagues have kicked off. And now a season of joy, a season of agony, excitement, adrenaline, and a whole lot of emotions await us.
You missed annoyance. You missed annoyance.
Yeah, I did not want to be a pessimist, so to speak, because touch wood, my club has not given me an opportunity to be pessimist. But annoyance is also there. Now, in true footballing sense, we would also like to kickstart the footballing season with a parallel season of our own, where we will host individuals in and around the footballing world. We have a whole lot of guests lined up to talk to, and we also plan to bring them in to share their opinions, experiences, insights, and much more. And occasionally, when there will be no guests, there would be Sid and I who will talk about whatever has happened during the week, or we would discuss our opinions. We will have some debates of some sorts. Just a platform where we can have conversations about the wonderful game that we both love so much. In today's episode, we have someone who you have seen frequently if you watch European club football in India or in recent times international football. Stay tuned for more, and we'll catch you all after the break with a very special guest lined up on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the inaugural episode of the Match Ball podcast. For this premiere episode, we have a very, very special guest with us. He's a very familiar face to the football fanatics who tune in to watch the Champions League. He's graced your television screens with his fantastic hosting and effortless conversations, particularly with the recent Euros. He's a passionate fan of Liverpool Football Club, who has his own passion-driven project called Menace and the Monk. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome Mr. Manas Singh. Welcome, Manas. Thank you for joining us.
Our pleasure is all mine, Rohan said. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, the pleasure is, in fact, all ours. I mean, it's funny how this episode is happening given the fact that it was just one tweet which I randomly put out, not expecting a reply as it is with my other tweets. And yet here we are recording.
You slid into my DMs, bro.
Okay, I was genuinely hoping to avoid that part, but I guess I am guilty of sliding into DMs, hoping to secure you as a guest. But I mean, anything special does begin with a DM. So you're here, so I guess it has worked. I guess it has worked very well in our favor.
Yeah. Let's not head into more DMs, bro. Let's be safe.
Let's keep it PG. Right. So let's kick things off without further ado. Now, everyone has an origin story about why they support their club. Now, I mentioned in the intro that you're a passionate fan, a passionate supporter of Liverpool. Now, what made you fall in love with the red of Merseyside and not the blue?
Okay, so The first game that I saw was red team versus white team, and my favorite color is red. And I was a kid at that time, and it was Liverpool that were playing in red. And it could have been any other team, but thank God it was Liverpool. And Liverpool were up against Manchester United, and I remember John Arne Riise scoring that ballistic goal, that free kick, and the way he celebrated, the celebrations, the noise, the passion. So I knew that the red team won. And the next time, I think a few weeks later, few months later maybe, the red team won once again against the blue team, and that was the derby. And Gary McAllister scored a goal, the winner late on. So it's as simple as that. The red team won both the time, and both the times the red team was Liverpool. So it's a very simple, straightforward story. There's nothing too complicated about it, man.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very common story. I mean, as kids, when we start watching football, it is very it's a very stupid reason or a very anticlimactic reason as to why we support our clubs. And I mean, I remember I also fell in love with Chelsea because it was a team which played in blue, and blue was my favorite color. So this is a little bit relatable. So we all have our origin stories for supporting our clubs.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. And you don't need any special reason, especially when you're like literally continents apart, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. You're right. We don't need a reason to support. We don't need a very valid reason to support our clubs.
I started supporting Barcelona because a kid in my bus supported Real Madrid and he was a bully. And that was the 5-0 game. So I was like, oh God, this is how I'm going to ever come back to this guy. And I started supporting Barcelona. For me, Messi was also the reason. But क्या कर सकते हैं?
But now Messi has moved on to greener pastures.
Yeah, way greener than us. Way greener and अरे क्या बोलने का, पैसा हो तो क्या कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
सही बात है.
हाँ, so Manas, you once said in an old podcast that long-term managers are now a thing of the past. Like people, basically big clubs or any club for that matter, sacks a manager for poor performances over a short period of time. They don't look at the bigger picture. But now with COVID and teams facing heavy backlash in financials, do you think this statement still stands today?
Of course, man. I mean, I think it has become. I think this statement from a podcast was like a few seasons back, and I think it has become far more worse now for managers. There is no patience anymore in the game. There are very few clubs, yeah, very few clubs. I mean, Liverpool is one of them that will stand by a manager for a few seasons without winning a trophy. I'm talking about big clubs. I think it's still very true. The team that you support, Sid, someone like a Barcelona, Valverde won back-to-back league titles, man, and still he got the sack. So, I mean, of course, it's still very true. Man United are now patient with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Whether he is the right man to stay patient with is a different thing. But I think very few clubs in world football who expect to win are patient with managers. मेरे हिसाब से it's gonna get far more worse with the amount of money involved. Think about it, guys. When you sack a manager, right, you end up paying the remainder of his contract, his or her contract, which is like 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million. In the grand scheme of things, that is just it. 15 million doesn't even get you a decent player in the market for a big club. So it's like one average poor signing. So if you want to change the entire philosophy of the way the club is run, sacking a manager is not a big deal for big clubs financially.
True. I agree with you, but this point which you mentioned now, that 15 million में कुछ नहीं आता transfer market में, it's so true. It is so inflated, man. अभी I realize that 15 million में कुछ नहीं आता है.
I mean, you look at Ben White. He's signed for Arsenal right now. 50 million from Brighton. 50 million for Ben White. I mean, he's a decent defender. He's a solid defender, but 50 million. I mean, can you imagine? Like you clearly mentioned, inflation की तो हद है यार. मतलब like 50 million Ben White, वो खुद भी सोच रहा होगा कि मतलब how the hell did this happen?
But I mean, I would not take the financial moves that Arsenal makes a little too seriously, because they have paid 72 million for Nicola Pepe. So it's a bit of a reach given, and I heard that they are about to pay somewhat 30 million for Aaron Ramsdale, who is a backup keeper. Who would be their
Yeah,
backup keeper?
yeah.
We
So
paid 105 million for Dembele. I've never seen him play.
You have played. You have paid so much for Coutinho as well, bro.
and you have paid for Griezmann
Uh,
also.
but ठीक है चल Griezmann at least plays every game ना. Coutinho and Dembele तो खेलते भी नहीं है यार.
Coutinho does this. Coutinho leaves your club, he goes to another club, he wins the Champions League with them, and then comes back to your club.
And then gets injured. Yeah, and this point stands even for Madrid. Madrid also Zidane backlash. The Madrid is known for fiercely throwing off players and managers for not performing. But now we have
I mean,
turned the
I mean,
league.
even Chelsea,
Even
even
Chelsea. I was
Chelsea,
just
Rohan.
coming to that. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a very poor run in Jan, and this Lampard got sacked. Like it was just like that. And granted that his sacking is not justified, given that Tuchel has won 2 trophies, both of them European. But it's still, I mean, Chelsea is known for their ruthlessness, and I mean, like Manas said, that sticking with long-term managers is slowly becoming a thing of the past. I mean, loyalty with managers and from both ends is a little bit difficult to find these days, the way we see things happening. Right, now coming to another question, I'd like to bring in an angle that grabbed headlines very recently. Now, Gini Wijnaldum, he was very recently unveiled as a PSG player, and before going, he mentioned that after his transfer, there was another side of the fan base that he felt did not love him. Now, Manas, what do you think about that?
Uh, See, Gini Wijnaldum ka contract situation was very complicated. In a team where midfielders were getting injured constantly, he was an ever-present. He was the system of Jurgen Klopp with Roberto Firmino. Gini Wijnaldum has been there for a long time, was there for a long time, and he was not getting the contract that he felt he deserved, the length of the contract, the financial aspect of it. But he was constantly performing, and in the midst of all this, he was getting social media abuse. Now, here's one thing. I feel there's a rise of social media over the last 10 odd years. There are pros and cons. The cons is that anyone and everyone can say whatever the hell they want without any repercussions. Now, the racial abuse, the whatever abuse that Gini Wijnaldum got, then he's not getting the contract that he feels he's deserving. So obviously, it will unsettle anyone. From the Gini Wijnaldum saga, what I personally gauge is that you feel you're being funny, you feel you're being sarcastic, but you feel you're being rude at the same time. Players do end up reading sometimes comments because they're humans, and it does affect them in certain ways. Now, you will say they are earning millions, it's part and parcel of their job. Sure, it is. It can't let them affect their performance, and it didn't affect Gini Wijnaldum's performance on the pitch. He was professional till the last game that he played. He was a thorough professional. But the reality is, off the pitch, it did affect him. And when he said those things, uske baad he got more abuse as well. So it just validates his point. I think we as supporters have to introspect as well how we are dealing with our own players. I mean, I think Gini Wijnaldum saying what he did was totally justified, and I'm sure you guys on social media do see as well. There is so much toxicness at the moment towards your own players, man. Like, I think it's ridiculous.
It's actually the toxicity is not just towards the players, but towards anyone who has a different opinion to what you have. That urges you to be toxic. And I mean, I remember a particular instance after the Man City versus Chelsea final. I remember you also got a little bit of stick from our Indian football Twitter, so to speak. And I mean, I don't even remember
That's
why
new,
that was
right?
for.
That's not new.
I'd like to change the theme of our conversation a bit, move away from Liverpool and social media and what we were talking. Now, you and Sony, how did you end up there, and what has your journey been like?
So I was in school. I was always, inclined towards sport. I used to play a lot of cricket, a lot of football. I was the captain of my school cricket team. I played football competitively as well. So sport was always within my genes. I was actually working in an IT firm, and at the age of 24, 23, 24, I quit my job and I realized that this is something which I cannot do. I actually interned with Sony for some time, and yeah, I mean, I got along with people over there. It's a great working culture. I'm absolutely blessed to be working with Sony. And once I got done with my small internship over there, I realized that I needed to get my face out there for me to give a chance, because at the age of 23, 24, who am I for them to let me even audition, or anyone to audition for any sort of gig. So I featured in a few commercials, man, and I think that's how they saw me. And one night I got a call for the NBA stating that the guy who presents the NBA is unavailable for the weekend. And that very evening, I went for an audition, and I still remember how nervous I was, man. And that audition was, yeah, man. I think I killed it, because the next day they called me, ki, okay, now you're going to be presenting the NBA, and with the grace of the universe, there has not been a week, a month where I haven't visited the Sony office. So it's been quite a journey, where I was an intern in the 2014 World Cup to actually present the Euros this year. So yeah, man, it's a very fulfilling journey, and hopefully long may continue. Yeah.
Wow, that is really a dream job, man. A
It is a
dream
dream job.
job.
It is a dream job, bro. No two ways about it.
I want to know how was your experience working with the legends? Like you worked with some of them, some of the legends that we've watched on TV, or like some of them which you want to click a picture with, but you work with them. How is your experience?
Yeah, it's I get what you're saying. So I still think what the hell is happening at times. Like how is this happening? So I grew up watching, football in the early 2000s. David James was one of the best goalkeepers in England, and now David James and me WhatsApp each other. Like on a regular basis. So, so it's just so funny how things are. Before every Liverpool match day, I'm like, okay, David, I'm wearing my favorite Liverpool socks. He sends me a picture, a selfie, or something, wearing something red. So it's very surreal. I grew up watching Luis Garcia. I sang a song for him on air. So behind the scenes, I still get goosebumps. I still get a bit edgy, but when you're live, you treat everyone equally, man. I treat you as equally as I would treat a Luis Garcia, a David James, a Vincent Bhutia, a Mark Seagraves, a Terry Freeman, because work is work. My job is to drive conversation. If I feel starstruck, then I will look starstruck on air. So even if hypothetically one day I work with Steven Gerrard, when I meet him the first time, I think I'll lose it. But then after that, Steven Gerrard will be like, say, Steven Gerrard will be like, "Oh, his book. I'll try to make them laugh. I'll try to drive a conversation the way I do. Uh, One thing I really have realized, guys, is that footballers now, they are the most humble and fun people. Like, they are so humble. I have met friends who, suddenly get a bit famous and they start to behave in a different way. But then when you meet someone who's actually like a Terry Freeman, man, he's played in the World Cup, and absolutely no air about him. Absolutely no air about him. So there's so much to learn from such people. They are funny, they're hilarious. I mean, obviously, just like anyone and everyone, once you get to know them, once you have a feel of each other, I mean, you just open up as buddies, man. They are now my teammates, and I'm sure they think the same. I hope they do. I'm sure they do. We are teammates now, and we can do anything for each other, man. I mean, it's putting up a good show is what we want to do all the time. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's like anything in life, man. You have good days and you have bad days. But footballers are just so humble. They are there are people who I look up to when it comes to work ethic, about how to live your life, because what they have given up to reach the level that they did is something which you know we don't, I mean, we tend to forget the sacrifices they all have made to become who they are. So it's just a dream come true, man. Sharing the space with them off the camera, the jokes we crack, the camaraderie that we have. Yeah, man. I think that is the best part of my job. Just chilling with them, having a drink with them. Uh, it's a dream come true, man.
True. It's good to know that I'm idolizing the right people.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And I mean, we've seen the stories that you and your fellow host Arpit put during the Euros, and you were playing football with them, you were having drinks with them, and I mean, we can see that having the privilege to call them your colleagues is something which so many people dream about, and it's actually different when you are with them. So
yeah.
I mean, if we just sum up your beginning, you went from researching about the NBA, giving an audition about the NBA, to then hosting the Euros. You've worked with people who we call legends. You have the privilege to call them your colleagues. You've had quite a ride. Now, as far as the Euros are concerned, the very recent tournament, what were the three best things and the three of the hardest things that you felt as a presenter?
The the best thing is that I covered international football, one of the biggest tournaments ever, uh, and in an unprecedented circumstances. Like everything was unprecedented for us taking the bubble, to having Skype guests, to working with Surin Chetri, to working with Don Hutchinson, Luis Garcia, Luis Saha, David James, Ashley, Terry, Vachukutia. So it's just that was the biggest thing. Like working on the Euros, bro. I mean, when I was a kid, I've seen Euros, and I never thought that I would be presenting it for our country. So that has to be the best thing. There's so much to learn. I think I've grown as a presenter because there are so many technical things which someone who watches a show is not aware of. Like we have a earpiece in a ear where a director is talking, a producer is talking, and we are giving directions about how long is remaining on a segment, what is the next throw to, is it a break, is it a package. But when it came to the Euros, it was very strict, time driven. So how to guide a conversation within a limited amount of time, uh, it was tough, it was demanding, but I think I've grown quite a lot as a presenter. It was initially stressful, but then you learn to embrace it. So that is one of the best things about the Euros. And you make such great friends, man. I mean, I was already close with Mark and Terry and Arpit and to a certain extent Baichung, but now, I mean, you've made friendships even with the people working at Sony. You share a bloody hotel for 50 odd days. You become proper teammates. So these are experiences which I'll remember for the rest of my life, man. I mean, this is an experience which no one can take away from me. Oh, the three hardest things. Yeah. Oh, the three hardest things. Yeah, the three hardest things, bro. Coming back to the GA banana thing, social media. I think the long hours during the group stage was tough because you're covering three games and you have to cover teams like North Macedonia. With all due respect, you probably don't have much knowledge about. So there's a lot of more research towards it. But that's part and parcel of our job. But that was tough initially. But the second hardest thing was uh, not looking at the notifications on Twitter all the time because it can be brutal. It can be tough. It can be toxic. I am absolutely no one. I'm just a presenter. Can you imagine what people like Messi, Ronaldo, and others deal with on a daily basis? Dude? Like on a daily basis. So I got a taste of what toxic really means. I really don't think anyone who tweets essay randomly who's a supporter knows how it feels like. I got a first-hand experience of what it actually feels like. So that was tough, but it has made me much more stronger, I feel. And yeah, man, bring it on. Hopefully, Doha, Qatar World Cup 2022. Hopefully, man.
Yeah, we hope so too. Go minus go.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is a very fans get personal. Huh? That is very wrong, so to say. When it
It's
comes to
okay. I
tweeting
mean,
about,
it's okay. It's okay, man. I mean, it's their voicing what they feel, and we live in a free country, man. I think we do. So everyone's got an opinion. I just hope people develop empathy along the way. But I mean, I can't be bothered because I am living the so it's part of it. So you can't only have the good things in a job, right? So if you treat
Hmm.
it like any other job, you have if you're working in a company, there are thousands of people. Your department has 50 people. There won't be everyone that you like, right? But you got to make do with it. You got to find a way around it. So it's just like any other job.
Manas, could you tell us your message or guidance as to anyone wanting to follow, your footsteps as a sports presenter? What is the secret formula? What does it take, or is there a secret formula?
मेरे को अभी कुंग फू पांडा याद आ गया डूड देयर इज नो सीक्रेट
अरे,
वो बोलता है
ah, right. Inner peace, inner peace.
ना like I shared my journey. I had my own path. I interned. I learned the process when I was in my mid 20s. So I know how a show is made, what goes behind a tournament, how tough it is, how easy it is. So I kind of know how everything works. I'm not bragging, but I have a basic knowledge of how a show is made. Not in detail, but I know what are the things involved, who does what. So I think the basic uh, is to just learn how things happen. You cannot just randomly become a presenter because you have the knowledge or you're good looking or you speak well. That's not how things work. Uh, because when you sit there, when the camera is on, and when there are three noises in your left ear, and then you have to form a question and get a conversation going with constantly people talking in your ear, it's not easy. Okay, so you have to intern. You have to learn the process. It's a uh, gradual process. There's this guy known as Manas Gera who was working for La Liga on Facebook. Now I think he's working with Premier League India as well. So his journey as well is something which I'm really looking forward to as well because he interned, then he did a small segment. He did on ground work. So he has his own journey. I have my own journey. So you gotta form your own journey. I think it's very important to hustle. It's very important to write emails. It's very important to work knowing that this is going to take time. A lot of time people ask me, what did you study? I mean, there is no course. There is no viva that you can give and therefore you will ace it. So obviously you need to be aware of the sport. You need to speak how decently. You need to be patient. It's not an easy role, but there is no formula. I have shared my journey. I will just say that create a YouTube channel, make content, get yourself out there. My path was featuring an ad so that people recognize who this guy is. So I mean, everyone's going to do their own thing, but it is not easy. But once you get an opportunity, don't bloody give it up, man. Don't give it up. Just grab it with both hands and try to protect that dream and make it yours. I am very lucky, dude. I'm very lucky to get that opportunity at that time. I really feel to be at the right place at the right time.
Hmm.
As cliched as it sounds in footballing terms, to be at the right place at the right time, I was,
Yeah, fox in the
and it
box.
worked. Fox in the box तो पता नहीं मैं हूँ कि नहीं but I was at the right place at the right time.
So you heard it here, folks, that you have to hustle, you have to grind, and one day an opportunity will present itself, and you just have to be ready, be there at the right place at the right time, and things will hopefully fall in place the way you want them to. Now we are coming close to the end of our episode. Now, before we let Manas go, there's something that I would request Manas to throw some light upon. Now, you have undertaken a challenge of running 1,000 kilometers. Now, what is that about?
So so I love animals, man. So I there's something which I want to do for the rest of my life. Maybe full time very soon. Maybe I'll start working for animals. I want to dedicate my life to them. But at the moment, I cannot because I have to help my family and myself be self sufficient. So I'm actually running 1,000 kilometers, and I'm raising funds for Cap.Mumbai, which is Citizens for Animal Protection. They are an organization that is doing some remarkable work for animals in and around our city. Mumbai is such a city where we human beings are just so many that animal lives don't matter too much. So they are building a facility where they can provide shelter. They will have makeshift hospitals, and you can have the recovery and surgeries of animals. So I'm actually running 1,000 kilometers for them. I'm raising funds. I have completed 155 kilometers at the moment. I have 845 kilometers more to go. It's a long way to go. But we have raised so far, I think 2.5 lakh rupees. So the aim is to raise 15 lakhs to make that makeshift facility. So that's what I'm doing right now. Hopefully with you guys, your help as well. Rohan, I know you have contributed a bit. Thank you so much. Hopefully more people step up and contribute for the cause. It will just help
Arey,
the
Rohan,
animals.
send me the link. I'll contribute.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing less than 10,000. मैं मजाक कर रहा हूँ. Anything goes, man. Even if it's 100 rupees, it will make a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, this is an absolutely wonderful cause that you are running for, and I hope that you will achieve it sooner than you expect, and you will reach the goal that you have set out to achieve. For all our listeners, I will be putting a link for contribution in the description of the podcast, and I hope you check it out. You donate as much as you can. Like Manas said, any contribution goes a long way. So we'll put the link in the description for that. You can follow Manas on Instagram and Twitter using the username at MENACESINGH, that is at Manas Singh. And be sure to check out Manas and his friend Nidhi's YouTube channel, Manas and the Monk. Right, so thank you once again, Manas, for joining us. You are a friend of our pod. You're welcome anytime, and we hope to see you again sometime in the future.
Guys, this was
Yes.
a lot of fun. Rohan, Sid, thank you so much. And when I say this, I mean it. Anytime you guys want me over, I'm always available for you guys, man.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything big in the football world, and Manas is going to get a call from us.
Of course. Or anything big, even anything not related to sports, and Manas might get a call from us if we just want to have a chat. So,
100%.
right. So, thank you all for joining us from wherever you are. This is the Matchball Podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.